My my sister pastor from Cairo, would you tell me what is your
Okay.
impression the book of Leviticus? What is Leviticus to you? Frankly.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Leviticus is uh, evangelistic book. It's talking about the Jesus Christ, the coming of Jesus Christ, and he house sacrifice for us, and it's connected with all the life of Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
This is, in my understanding, it is salvation message in Old Testament.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
hear one more students. One more student. Please tell me whatever. If you hear Leviticus, what kind of idea comes from your heart?
Leviticus is the third book of uh, the Old Testament, or the beginning of the Old Testament,
Mm-hmm.
and it's given from Yahweh to Jewish people who escaped from Egypt to worship God
Mm-hmm.
by sacrificing animals in the wilderness place. So it's a shadow of the coming Messiah's book, how Jesus prepared the one who sacrificed for the world for salvation. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a shadow of salvation.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Wonderful. But let me ask you one more question. Can you find the letter Jesus, even Christ, in the book of Leviticus? No, no.
No.
Because Jesus came to the earth, like we say, BC, before Christ, AD, Anno Domini. That means around 2000 years ago, so-called
Mhm.
Christmas. But according to traditional evangelical understanding, Exodus happened around 1446 years BC, which means around 15 centuries before Jesus came. So you cannot find any name Jesus, but Christ is pronunciation of Greek, but Messiah is pronunciation of Hebrew. So you can hear Messiah so many times in Old Testament. But in Old Testament, Messiah doesn't mean Christ, Jesus. Messiah,
Mhm.
which means anointed, anointed.
Mm.
It is
Mm.
applied to king, priest, who is one more? Those who are anointed with oil in Old Testament.
Mm.
King, priest,
Yeah.
and prophet.
Prophet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They are
Prophets.
anointed
Yeah.
with oil.
Yeah.
So when we studied Leviticus and Jesus, you have to remember several things. Not only when you study Leviticus and Jesus, but when you approach the Bible, you have to understand that the degree of revelation is increasing from Genesis to New Testament until it is fulfilled in the time of Jesus. And then all those revelation will be perfectly fulfilled when Jesus comes again, which means the level of degree of revelation is lower in Old Testament. Then progressive revelation. This is another principle, which is very important when you deal with Old Testament and New Testament. In the pastoral context, you can freely come and go between OT and NT. From now on, if I say OT, OT means what? Old Testament.
Testament.
NT means? NT means?
Mm.
New
New
Testament.
Testament. Yeah. So please understand OT and NT. So in your pastoral context, in your mission context, you can freely come and go between OT and NT. But when it comes to the theological study, you have to somehow separate. Of course, OT and NT is one book, one coherent book. But Old Testament has lower revelation, especially from redemptive perspective, which starts in the book of Genesis 3:15, yeah, when God proclaimed the punishment to Adam and Eve. Yeah, it is a primitive gospel, like you will crush the head of the serpent will harm, yeah, the feet part or something. Then that proclamation of gospel developed, continued progressively. So many shadow. My pastor, I'm happy you author the term shadow. So many shadow, or in other words, antitype, pointing to Jesus Christ. But Jesus never appeared in OT clearly. Yeah, some scholars say maybe three friends of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, when they three friends of Daniel were walking in the fire, in the furnace. One more person was walking, maybe Jesus. Yeah, that can very few possible cases, but no explicitly Jesus appeared until in New Testament. So theological students who have to be equipped with a high level of knowledge regarding the Bible to correctly interpret the Bible, you have to think, you have to focus on Old Testament text itself so that you can have clear understanding from Old Testament fully. You focus on Old Testament, then after that, you can connect with New Testament as well as Jesus Christ. Okay, this is those who are trained academically in seminary. It is then your interpretation of the Bible is very deepened. Today, not only today, but traditionally, the problem of lay people, even pastors, someone, the level of someone is why so many cases lower, because they do not focus on the text first. They have to listen to what text is talking about. So we say there are another three principles of when you approach OT and NT. First one, I said, between OT and NT, the revelation level is different. It is, second one is progressively revealed, the revelation progressively shown. Third one is continuity and discontinuity between OT and NT. There is a discontinuity between OT and NT. Most representative point, discontinuity, is that there is no more. So many things are no more. Representative thing is that what our students authored already, there is no sacrificial system at all. While Jews are waiting for, because they do not admit Jesus as their Messiah. Still they are waiting their own Messiah. But for evangelicals, for Christians, we do not accept anymore sacrifice because Jesus did it once and for all. That is one of most representative point of discontinuity. But continuity is there. Like out of 10 commandments, still do not kill, do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal. This kind of moral instructions and other things are still continued. Okay, so we studied. I'm very worried about my title, Jesus and Leviticus and Jesus. Then if you easily jump up, if you try to we whatever you wanna deliver the message from that book, from Jesus' work, and then you complete your manuscript of your sermon, then you really preach in your church, in different kind of Christian gatherings. Then you will find out your preaching level will be very high, different from your former ones. So this is a brief outline of our syllabus. So I will make it clear again, watching syllabus together. I sent the syllabus some hours ago, so you can, I hope you can receive. Okay, this is my Korean name, Ki Jong. My English name is Dr. Astor, so you can call me Astor. Yeah, if you want to speak, please mute. We hear everything what you are speaking. Thank you. Okay, course description. I need our students to read some screens instead of me. Yeah, so any students, please voluntarily read this course description, which I already briefly said. Please.
Let me read it. Okay. This course studies Leviticus as a foundation theological book of the Old Testament.
Focusing on its structure, major themes, and role in shaping Israel's worship and communal life.
No, one person continue to read, no problem.
Key themes include sacrifice and atonement, blood and the life, purity and the holiness, priesthood, community, and sacrifice. The drive and close reading of select texts, Leviticus 1, 8 to 12, chapter 16, 19, 25. Students learn the theological logic of the book. After publishing Leviticus in its Old Testament context, the course briefly examines how selected themes are developed in the New Testament, especially in relation to Jesus Christ, highlighting continuity and fulfillment within the biblical canon.
Thank you, thank you. From now on, if one student start to read, please finish one section, okay? This is one of our rule. Yes, one letter or phrase, sentence are all very important to you because each one has its own deep meaning. All right, focusing on structure. Structure delivers great lesson from the book. So we will focus on what is the whole structure of Leviticus. Within that whole structure of Leviticus, particular chapters structure. We will examine the structure of, for example, if we study chapter 1, we will examine the structure of chapter 1 within the context of a whole structure of Leviticus. Why? Because structure delivers the author. When you know the Bible has two double authors, one is Holy Spirit, one is a human. So when human authors write their book, they use structure very wisely so that they can deliver their message very clearly. So when you approach it, any book in the Bible, you have to think about structure. Okay, so we'll focus on structures, big structure, small structure. And then major themes and role in shaping Israel's worship and community life. In this entire subject, you will hear repeatedly the importance of worship and life, ritual and ethics, because in many cases there is unbalance in God's community, which cause a lot of problems. While someone is very much faithful in worship, rituals, praying, reading Bible with God, but a lot of problems with the people, ethics, morality. That is never Bible teach us. So Leviticus clearly shows that the balance, worship and life. Key themes like sacrifice, atonement, blood, again, life, ethics, purity, and holiness. These kind of important themes we will deal with. Of course, priesthood, community. Christians' life will never be in personal level. We are doing in community. We are living not only before God, Imago Dei, but also we are living before people. Even when I am alone, when I with people, my attitude is there is no big difference. And sacred time, like a Sabbath year or year of Jubilee, all those things we will deal with. Of course, yeah. And through Q&A driven, this class is very peculiar. This is my first attempt. I'm going to give you questions. You will also have to prepare questions and answer. So each week you have to submit your own questions and answers after you get some help from the lecturer with me. Or if there is some questions still you are not satisfied, you can edit. And then I'm very much happy to know extra questions from our Levitical books. So I have to discuss with Missionary Grace or facilitators how I can receive your feedback. Because in Korea, your submit assignments I cannot receive. But particularly I want to receive some extra questions from you so that I can prepare more. So anyway, Q&A, but this Q&A start will be started from third week. Because today and next week we will spend time for our introduction. Okay, selected text for this semester is that chapter 1, burnt offering, chapter 8, ordination of priest, chapter 10, divine judgment and grace, chapter 12, the purity of new mother, chapter 16, the day of atonement, 19, be holy as I am holy, 25 is about year of Sabbath, year of Jubilee. Then, yeah, I already explained. Okay, let's move on to lecture goals. Please, once students finish to read all this, please start this. In order to save time, please read quickly.
Let me read. By the end of this course, the students will be able to approach the book of Leviticus with confidence, no longer perceiving it as an inaccessible or intimidating text. Second, identify and explain the core theological themes of Leviticus and understand how these themes shape the book as a whole. Then articulate the relationship between Leviticus and the New Testament, recognizing both continuity and development. Explain how the theology of Leviticus finds its fulfillment in Jesus Christ within the broader biblical canon. Produce 2 sermon manuscripts grounded in solid exegetical work and responsible engagement with major Leviticus commentaries. Preach this sermon in actual church or ministry settings, demonstrating the ability to communicate Leviticus faithfully and pastorally.
Okay, thank you. At least in Korean church context, Leviticus has a nickname that is a sleeping pill. Because many Korean Christians, when they start January, they decide to read the whole Bible, 1,001 189 chapters in 66 books, then okay, I will read 4 chapters each day so that I can finish to read entire Bible in a year. So they are happily read Genesis. Wow, God created. Wow, wonderful, interesting story about Abraham, Jacob. Wow, wonderful. Exodus, wow, 10 plagues, great. Then Leviticus, spring blood, oh, priest, confusing, and then they fall into sleep. So many people, many Christians love Leviticus, but their love is one-sided love. They are very confusing. They feel difficult. So some Christians jump Leviticus and then they read Numbers. But I'm very sure if you faithfully follow me, some of you will be like me who love Leviticus most from 66 books. The more I study Leviticus, the more I'm fall in love in Leviticus. Truly. I'm not lying before God. Because Leviticus is the unique book. I don't say other 65 books is less important. No. I'm just saying what is the value of Leviticus. Leviticus is comprehensive and concrete manual of covenant life of God's people, not only in ancient time, but also now. You will understand if you study faithfully with me. So I'm sure some of you will very much love Leviticus. Even every student will have different depression about Leviticus. Okay. Anyway, this is lecture goals. And teaching method, this course uses question-guided lectures on key passages and themes in Leviticus, combining close reading. Close reading is important terminology, important language when it comes to academics. So close reading simply doesn't mean simply I read closely, no, in very much deep way using academical tools. So anyway, close reading of OT with the selective New Testament engagement. Actually, you have to know that this attempt is very rare in worldwide seminaries, because seminaries usually this is OT class, then they study only OT. Just a few biblical, verses from NT. If your studies NT, just focus on NT. But I try to combine OT and NT, even with Christ, even help you to preach. This is very first attempt. So I am also very expecting what would be the result. I'm waiting the result from you. So you are the one, students who just learn something from me, but also you are cooperator with me, okay? To help me, wow, this kind of subject, which is very necessary in seminaries, but very lack, it is really meaningful. I want to have that conclusion through you. So please be faithful with this subject. So, yeah, preaching, textbook. I'm sorry, you don't have your personal computer, you don't have your own books, but at least I sent already some PDF file so that you can access. Our main book is this. Anyway, the author is Greydanus. Greydanus Sydney. He wrote a wonderful book. This book gave me a lot of insight, enabled me to create this subject. The title is Preaching Christ from Leviticus, Foundations for Expository Sermon. But he does not easily jump to Jesus. He focused on so much, greatly focused on study Old Testament, Leviticus, I mean. Okay. So he studied, even though he's not biblical scholar, but he's like his major is like a practical theology, but he did wonderful, work. Biblical scholars like me, from my perspective, his exegetical level is not low. Very nice, very nice. But many scholars whose major is not biblical study, their exegetical level, it is true, it's not so high. But we have to focus on the text. You will hear me repeatedly focus on the text. So I said 3 rules when we approach OT and NT. I have to edit one more. Eisegesis and exegesis. Exegesis means, I don't know, you learn Greek or not. Ex means you drew out something from something. So exit, it is an emergency gate, door, like in theater, so that you can come out of that room or building. Exegesis. So exegesis means you draw out the meaning, intended meaning by the author. What authors? For example, like Matthew, in the book of Matthew, he intended what? Luke, what he intended. In Pentateuch, if we accept Moses as the main author, what Moses intended. So we have to draw out the intended author's intended meaning from the text. That is exegesis, which we have to hold strictly. But eisegesis is that you push something into the text, which cause so many cult group. Cult group, they set their own theory, philosophy, then they borrow biblical verses from the Bible so that they can proclaim their own message. Or feminists who insist, we deny the creation order, why man is the head of women, we don't like a creation order, but women is important. So their Bible is like, why man is there? Actually, man in Hebrew word include the meaning of women, but they don't like it. So they emphasize women too much rather than Bible emphasize. Or before, so many different, theologies, they put their own idea into the Bible. We call it eisegesis. We have to be very careful. That's why we need to study theological studies so that we can learn how to draw the author's intended meaning from the text. That's why we study Greek, we study Hebrew, so that we can understand what is the original meaning before versions. Versions means the Bible, which was interpreted from original languages. So these are around 4 principles. If you are seminarians, you have to understand that. So he did it. He tried to do his best to make exegesis. So by the biblical text, he tried to connect with Christ. That's why I chose this book as our textbook. I sent it already, the PPT file, so you can check it out to your facilitator. Okay, reference. Also, I sent biblical PPT files. It is about Leviticus commentary books, Leviticus commentary books. Wenham is one of representative scholar, Gordon Wenham, English people for evangelical people. Also Rucker, M.F. Rucker, Hartley. These 3 scholars are very much representative Leviticus commentators for evangelical people. And Milgram, Jacob Milgram is most influential people for Leviticus, but he's not evangelical. But his Leviticus books, there is no one who surpassed his work. He passed away, but this is just, do you see, this is chapter 23 and 27. Another book is a similar volume, chapter 1 to 16, this much. So his Leviticus commentator is this much. Many, very thick book in 3 volumes. And then more than 150 articles upon Levitical issues he wrote before he died. So whether you like his opinion or not, everybody must concern Jacob Milgram's work. But there are a lot of different perspectives from evangelical side, but we cannot avoid. So we have to consider about him, not because we agree his opinions, but for deepening our understanding of Leviticus. And sacrifice in the Bible, there is correction of articles. Each article is also very meaningful. There are so many other references, but at least you can have this one. Course grading, attendance 10, assignments 10. Assignments is each week you have to submit something. I'll show you later. Mid-exam, final exam, same 30%. Two summons, also 20%. But make it clear that I'm not the one who grade your assignment because I cannot receive. So some of our church authorities will grade instead of me. But at least, just like I said, I want to see your extra questions from Leviticus. Yeah, I don't know. I hope Missionary Grace and others will send me your extra questions, which I don't deal in our lecture note. Assignments. Students are required to read the designated chapters of Leviticus prior to each class section. So today first, next week second, third week. From third week, after finish our third lecture, you have to read. Third week we'll study chapter 1. Then before you come to Leviticus class, you have to read chapter 1 very closely. Not only one time, but 2 times, 3 times. Then you pick up your questions and bring to the classroom. And then many questions, you will be happy because you're going to have some answers from my lecture, but still you might have questions.